Welcome to my channel. Today we will be visiting the Wellington Museum in Waterloo, Belgium. The museum is very easy to get to from Brussels, the capital of Belgium, and it has a lot of historical significance. To get there, get on the train from Brussels Central over to the Waterloo station. Use Google Maps to advise you on which train to take and buy tickets for the trip. Once at Waterloo station, it is a 15-minute walk, or you can take the bus. Again, use Google Maps to help you with the directions, as it is possible that the exhibits in the museum will be curated differently in the future. I'll not be describing the exhibits in positional order, but rather group them thematically. Here we see a cannon used in the battle, or from that era displayed at a space between the reception area and the main museum area. Arthur Wellesley, the Duke of Wellington, stayed in this building the night before the fateful day of battle on the outskirts of the town of Waterloo in the 18th of June 1815. The background of this battle is too much to be covered in this video, so I will refer you to some videos in the description if you want to find out more. Here we have a Wellington testimonial teapot and a slop bowl made of black basalt stoneware, likely manufactured in Staffordshire, England, around 1813. These items were created to commemorate the Duke of Wellington's victories during the Peninsular War. Perhaps the Duke carried a set with him and was there in his room while he stayed there. Here are some silverware presented to him for his successes as well. The Duke was attending the famous Duchess of Richmond's ball in Brussels on the evening of June 15, 1815, in a rented coach house on the Laundry Street, just days before the decisive Battle of Waterloo. This glittering social event for the Allied officers was famously interrupted by news of Napoleon's advancing army, prompting many officers, including Wellington, to depart directly for the coming battle. Here we have the recreated quarters of the Duke at this building, which was a coaching inn and postal relay station where travellers rested and changed horses. It was later requisitioned by the Allies to become Wellington's headquarters just before the 1815 battle. Another important room is that of the Duke's aide-de-camp, Lieutenant Colonel Sir Alexander Gordon, who died of his wounds after the Battle of Waterloo. The Duke was deeply affected by Gordon's death and was seen in tears by his physician, Dr. Hume. Upon receiving the news, he then sat down to write his official victory dispatch to London, famously remarking, "Well, thank God, I don't know what it is to lose a battle. But certainly nothing can be more painful than to gain one with the loss of so many of one's friends." Okay, we're changing gears now. Almost every museum like this has the uniforms of the battle. This is no different. Here we have the Duke's uniform. This is a British 1812 pattern heavy cavalry officer's helmet. The first here is a British infantryman, followed by two Dutch-Belgian infantrymen. This is a French cavalryman's cloak and sabre from 1812. Of course, we need to have firearms. Here we have various pistols. These would have been carried by officers and cavalry who needed to close up with the enemy after a charge. Each cavalryman would usually carry two loaded pistols to battle. Then of course the muskets. These would be smoothbore flintlock, muzzle-loading muskets. The British and their allies primarily relying on the iconic Brown Bess and the French using the Charleville musket. You will also notice the sabres, both for light as well as heavy cavalry. As with such museums, the Wellington Museum also showcases the medical technology at that time. Unfortunately for the soldiers then, there were no antibiotics, hence saving him often meant amputation. These are two regimental colours or flags of the French Grande Army. It is possible they were captured by the Allies as Napoleon's army fled from the battle. There are various paintings and dioramas depicting scenes from the battle. Here is the Duchess of Richmond's ball, the Duke rallying his troops, and others. This is a reproduction of the famous charge of the Scots Greys. This is the famous scene of the Duke meeting General Blocker of the Prussian army at the end of the battle. This depicts how an infantryman would be billeted in the field. There's a diorama of the battle at Hougoumont, which I will cover in a separate video, and a model of the Butte de Lyon which I have covered in the video on the Battle of Waterloo Museum. Then we have Napoleon's death mask, and a model of the Belle Poule, a French frigate famous for returning Napoleon's remains to France from St. Helena in 1840. Across the road from the Wellington Museum is the Church of St. Joseph. It is really worth the visit. This church has been used to commemorate the various units that fought in this battle, as you can see. This is the end of this video. Please like and subscribe if this has been informative or entertaining. Thank you for watching this to the end. At the end is a bust of Willem II, who was the Prince of Orange and later became the King of the Netherlands. He was wounded on the battlefield during the Battle of Waterloo, and whom the Butte de Leon or Lion's Mound was created to commemorate.